Hello everyone, good afternoon, good evening, based on the time zone you are joining in from. First of all, thank you so much for joining today's webinar and very warm welcome on behalf of TTN for this very interesting topic. I see a lot of attendees who have already joined in, and I'm sure there would be many more who will be joining us in next few moments. I'm pretty excited personally and looking forward to have a very good conversations with a lot of senior executives, the leaders from various industries who have joined us today. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sushil and I'm a Vice President and lead the GenAI practice at TTN. Today, I will be joined by my colleague Sanmati Jain, who is a technology architect, and Ankit Verma, who is a senior practitioner, senior consultant and practitioner within GenAI practice at TTN. Let me take a moment to introduce about TTN. We are a Singapore headquartered organization working with several clients across the globe in delivering their digital solutions. We are more than 2,200 consultants focusing on various services that we provide to the clients, be it digital engineering, cloud and DevOps, a lot of work that we do in digital marketing, customer experience, and media and entertainment solutions as well. Data, analytics, and AI. This is also one of the very strong established practice at TTN. We take care of the entire data ecosystems, be it starting from data engineering, visualizations, analytics, and advanced analytics, and most importantly, GenAI as well. And when I speak about the core data science, it's again the execution we have been having it since last 8 years, worked with several clients across the globe, and we take a pride in delivering a lot of use cases, especially on GenAI in the last couple of years. Let's get on to the core topic of today's discussions, which is hyper-personalization using GenAI. And this is very interesting topic and one of the topic which always comes in our conversations whenever we are having a dialogues with existing clients or the prospects. The interesting thing is it cuts across the industries and not limited to a specific focus areas. And every organizations, they strive to ensure that how the customers are focused, how their needs are not only met, but the organization try to predict what their needs are and try to exceed those particular expectations. And this becomes extremely critical for organization because there is a fierce competition there out in the market, and if you don't act on it, there are likelihood of disruption as well. So it becomes extremely important for organizations to continue to focus on how they engage, how they interact and retain the existing clients as well as acquire new clients as well. And that's where GenAI plays extremely key role. It has a power of leveraging the hyper-personalization, that particular capability, which takes care of having personalized products, personalized services, personalized content that are delivered to the client, which really makes it much more loyal to those particular clients. They feel that their interests are being looked at and their needs are getting fulfilled. We are going to talk more about it as we move through the sessions. This is an agenda we have stitched together for this session today. We are going to have some discussions around hyper-personalization, what exactly we mean when we speak about hyper-personalization. We are also going to hear about what analyst has to say about hyper-personalization and how critical it is in their perspectives. And then we will do a complete deep dive into hyper-personalization, understanding how it is critical when it comes to meeting my organization goals, how the organization embarks on this, on the maturity curve, especially in their GenAI journey. What are the core principles? How do they approach overall implementation? What are the considerations that they should take? And also we'll focus on what all are the focus areas or challenges that they should be aware of. And what are the future roadmap when it comes to the hyper-personalization in overall from a technology point of view and relevant to your industries. What we have also done is we have curated a lot of different use cases catering to different industries because, as I said, this hyper-personalization spans across, be it you are a B2B client, G2C, B2C, it caters to all these industry segments. So we give a point of view, and we are going to cover several use cases in your industries, and we'll have a good discussions at that point in time as well. We have been working on several demonstrations, and what we have done is we have carefully handpicked one of the demo which is relevant to one of the industries, and idea is to demonstrate the practical usage, how hyper-personalization, where using the GenAI technologies, is getting benefited in that particular use case. Towards the end, we are going to have question and answer session as well. We are going to open the chat window immediately. If you have any questions, feel free to keep dropping in your questions there. I assure you definitely will take up those questions towards the end and keep it as interactive as possible. Before we begin, I'm just curious to understand where do you stand with respect to the GenAI journey within your organization. We are having a lot of conversations in the last 2 months as well. We spoke to almost 80 plus clients, and there has been a very positive vibes. Many clients have embarked, few are looking for some kind of consultations and so on. Good to see there is a mixed set of leaders that we have from different industry today. A lot of clients are yet to get started, almost 51% at this stage in a GenAI journey. There are good 24% who are integrated with some of the functions within some of the group within their organizations. And there are few who are yet to begin. Pretty good to see in terms of the overall approach, keenness by the organizations to embark on this particular journey. Thanks for those particular feedback. Let's get on to the finer differentiation. When you have a dialogue, when you speak about personalization, hyper-personalization, what we saw that there has been a multiple terms which are being used interchangeably, and there is a bit of fine difference between each one of them. And we thought it is important that we first align ourselves on what exactly we are trying to achieve when we mean by hyper-personalization. So the first one is around the customization, wherein as an organization, you are giving that ability to the client, your clients, your consumers, to configure the product based on their specific needs. Having that configurable ability and delivering specific product based on the client choice is what really we are focusing by virtue of customization. It doesn't require any AI technology and so on. And the fact that clients themselves are approaching and seeking customized product from you, definitely there is a likelihood of higher conversion that may happen in that particular journey. If you talk about personalization, here client is not providing you any information with respect to they are not approaching you, but the basic data which organization has about their clients. They look at all demographic information which are available, be it the locations, age, gender, and so on, their past transactions with the organizations, and how do I leverage this data, build analytics, and try to give some kind of relevant kind of offers or solutions which may cater to that particular the client segments. That's what really we look at from a personalization standpoint. And given that this approach is more about one size fits all, wherein I may be focusing on, say, age group between 40 to 50, this particular solution, it may happen that not all of them may be catering to that particular need. So it is not that it's gonna meet everyone's requirement, but it is still a bit of relevant to them. And using the traditional AI itself, it is possible to look at meeting the personalization expectations. And what we are really talking about is how do I go about hyper-personalization, wherein not only looking at the demographic data, which anyways exists with the organizations, but more importantly, look at how do I look at their behavioral patterns, how do I look at real-time context, whether what location that your consumer is, what kind of weather it is, what are the external factors. Looking at that, doing the prediction based on my behavioral pattern and what I would love to do, giving that curated, personalized context to your customer is what really we are referring to hyper-personalization. How do I do that? The GenAI is the only solution to meet those particular expectations, wherein address such a personalized content to your user, be it products or be it offers, whatever you wish to do. This is where the hyper-personalization comes into the picture. If I have to just put it in a nutshell, customization is where clients are looking for their configurable products. When I talk about personalizations, organizations are providing certain set of campaigns based on the user segments. It could be based on, as I said, based on locations or based on age group. And within this particular segment, it may not be applicable to all of those particular stakeholders. Hence, the conversion rate is in question. But if you talk about hyper-personalization, I looked at individual data. I studied their behavioral and all psychographic information, demographic information, and so on. And this particular, the products or the solutions which organization is giving to their clients are pretty much something that values, that is something of their interest. And that's what we are referring to the hyper-personalization here. Now, having known that hyper-personalization is the best thing that should happen for any organization, it is important that we take a holistic view about three different aspects. One is, what really your customer, are they really looking for this kind of personalization? Second thing, we look at what the analyst has to say, because they have been studying on this particular field a lot, having involved with organization as well as customer, what really they feel. And we also look at third aspect, which is, if I look at my organization goals, is hyper-personalization, is GenAI is going to help me in terms of addressing them? So let's look at each of these in three different slides. This is where we are going to focus around what customer believes. So what we have done is just put forward one of the survey that was conducted by McKinsey. And what they did is they reached out to multiple customers, and idea was to assess what they feel in terms of the kind of solutions, how the approach should happen to them with respect to different organizations, the products that they use. And many questions were about, would they like targeted promotions? Would they like something specific to their needs based on their specific milestones? Are they being approached? And if you look at the results, whopping 71% of the consumers, they feel that they would love to see such kind of personalized, tailor-made specifically for them offers or solutions coming to them. There are many of them who also mention that if they don't receive personalized, and if it is a generic in nature, they get frustrated, and this is a pool of customers. There is a high chance they might drift away, go to the competition, because they feel that it's a generic ad, generic promotion that is being done. And there is a good number of people, as long as they are assured that yes, their data is going to be used to have that personalized, curated content for them, they don't mind sharing this particular information about them. And this is pretty welcoming in terms of this particular the outcome that you see coming from the customer. If I talk about the analyst, Gartner believes that if I don't follow this hyper-personalization journey, there is a high chances of losing my customer base, existing clients, close to 40%. On the other hand, if we get on to hyper-personalization journey, if we start leveraging the GenAI benefits, McKinsey believes that there would be a revenue upside of close to 10 to 40%. And if you look at the real life example, Amazon is a classic example. The recommendation engine, the personalized ads which Amazon recommends to each and every user, 35% of their current revenue comes from that recommendation engine, comes from this hyper-personalization. I think that's the power which all we need to appreciate what GenAI, what hyper-personalization brings in. If I look at Deloitte, and they had a good analysis that was done on Gen Z and millennials kind of segments. And if you see most of this particular segment, they would love to have a campaign which is coming towards them in terms of personalized content. And HBR also conducted very detailed review. If you look at any organizations in any of the industries, always the cost of acquiring new client is always higher compared to retaining one. So there has to be a balanced focus, ensuring that I continue to retain my existing clients and then grow my business by acquiring newer one. Using hyper-personalization, this is one of the area. It not only helps in reducing that acquisition cost, it also helps in boosting the revenue and improvising the marketing efficiency as well. So if you look at now the third pillar which I was talking about, which is leave aside the customer, what they have to say or what the analyst has to say. But if I look at just in silo about what are my organization KPIs, and these are the KPIs which are applicable almost all clients, all organizations, irrespective of industry, whether we look for how do I make it profitable, how do I come up with various strategies, various new offerings which would help me improvising my revenue, reducing the cost, I can acquire more and more clients. How do I improvise my customer experience, and how do I get a data-driven insights? If I look at all these aspects, it is very, very imperative that GenAI is the way forward. Leveraging this hyper-personalization capability which GenAI provides, it not only maximizes the revenue potential for your organizations, it also helps reducing the cost which you incur for acquiring new clients and the overall operating cost significantly. And last but not the least, the customer experience, which is always on a forefront in terms of organization look at, that also helps improvising to a very good extent. So in summary, if we have to look at the hyper-personalizations, how do I marry the power of GenAI, wherein I leverage artificial intelligence, I look at machine learning, I look at the real-time data for that particular consumer, and I look at automation, bringing in all this together to have a personalized message being delivered to your each and every customer based on their interest. It's get delivered at the right time, using completely personalized to them, using the right channel, what they would love. And most importantly, taking into considerations the other external factors, be it the psychographic information about individual behaviors, individual lifestyle, be it the weather, be it the time of the day, and so on, right? So this is in essence what the hyper-personalization is all about. Now, if I talk about a place, having the right place. Imagine as an individual, I might have a different cuisine preference if I'm at my home country, and if I travel, I might have something else. Adjusting your offerings, adjusting your targeting your clients based on location, that becomes extremely important. Another scenario could be, assume that I'm a avid trekker and I like to go trekking, and I just reach to the other destinations. How about we getting proactive communication that, by the way, these are the attractions which are nearby, which are good tracks for you to do your trekking. Having such kind of personalized message creates that positivity and gives a right perception to the user, and helps in terms of targeting specific business line as well. The timing is also important. If as an individuals I have a pattern of making impromptu decision to buy something whenever I go to a particular e-commerce site, or do I take probably a week to make my mind? When shall I give a discount? When shall I target particular offer to ensure that your customer takes a decision and that particular sales gets converted? Having that personalized timing being matched to their behavior is again a very critical thing. If you look at the right channel, there could be some individuals who like to get through emails. There could be few individuals, they like kind of empathy. They like somebody to speak to them so that they know whom they are talking to. And chances of getting conversion of that sales is more when somebody speaks. So how do you align your marketing and sales strategy to that particular things? Most importantly, having the right content, and this is one of the core things what GenAI brings in. If you have a scenario wherein what you hear in the morning time, I probably look at different kind of music towards what I would love to listen towards the evening. And when I log in again every day morning, what kind of recommendations that are being thrown to me? I would prefer to get all recommendations which I usually love hearing them in the morning. Similarly, so on for the evening as well. Or if you look at, if it's a banking client and I have a good lump sum that is there in my account, the bank knows what are my spending patterns, and based on that, they give me some product that why don't you invest in this particular product, which would not only meet your lifestyle, but it's going to give you further return on investment, right? Or by looking at my spending pattern, communication proactively coming addressing to me with that analysis and suggestion from the financial institution that why don't you go for this credit card which can give you more reward points, right? So that contextualized content is extremely important. And once having all this particular thing in place, how do we package together and deliver to the customer? That also plays a very significant role. If you look at Spotify Wrapped, I don't know how many of you leverage or use Spotify to a good extent, and they release it every year. And if you currently also Spotify Wrapped for 2024, wherein very personalized video message from Spotify coming to you, which gives the complete journey for me starting from the beginning of the year. What was my choices, what happened later on, what are choices today, which song I like most, what song I like in the morning, and so on. It gives complete details about myself. As an individual, I feel kind of loyal to that particular organization. I feel that the organization is caring for me, and so on, right? So that's what the overall hyper-personalization in various areas it helps. And if you look at all these particular areas, ultimately it is all driven by the data. So data plays extremely key role. So as an organizations, you definitely would have certain basic data for your customers, be it the demographic data or the transaction histories and so on. But if you combine it with other external sources, be it generating the sentiment analysis from social media, or there are a lot of third parties which provides data which gives many additional inputs about your customer. And if you marry it together and get a good insight about what that consumer anticipates, what are their needs, that is going to give reaping benefits to the organization. And that's one of the reason, if you look at fine set of companies likes of Facebook or Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, and so on, they are leveraging GenAI to the fullest, and they are the market leader at this stage on how hyper-personalization. I gave an example of Amazon. Similar is the story with other organizations as well. And it is a time every organization look at how smartly they look at leveraging GenAI. They just understand the benefits it's going to get, how customer-centric solutions GenAI can provide by using this hyper-personalization. So that's all about core things, just to get you up to the speed with respect to the criticality of this. What we will do now is do a further deep dive, having understood hyper-personalization importance, how the organization shall embark, what is the journey around that, what are the challenges, and so on. So you will hear a lot of things in the next few slides. So if I may request my colleague Ankit to take us through the subsequent sections.
Thank you, Sushil. Thank you for briefing the audience about the hyper-personalization. Now, before I begin up moving ahead, I would like all of you to think, have you ever felt like an app or service knows exactly what you want? Almost like it's reading your mind. It would have a couple of times, I'm sure about it. And that's where the magic of GenAI and hyper-personalization comes into the picture. And today we'll explore how the businesses can progress through each stage to achieve it. So the diagram which you can visualize now represents the journey of basic personalization to the real-time hyper-personalization mapped through different segmentation levels. We have segregated into 4 levels. The first one is the L1, which is basic demographic segmentation. You can think of personalizing emails with the names or segmenting customers by their age, gender. That comes under L1. It's a good start, but it doesn't tap the individual preferences. Next comes the L2, wherein customer actions and events plays a role. It actually means that we are using browsing history or maybe the abandoned carts. You can imagine an e-commerce website reminding you about the shoes that you would have kept in your cart and have not purchased, or maybe offering you the first time customer discount whenever you are logging into a new website. So it's a significant step when it talks about the relevance. The third one is the psychographic intent. So you can think about it takes into account the customer preferences, behaviors, and the intent. The best example you can relate is of Netflix because you watch recommendations, or Spotify creating the personalized playlist for you. The fourth one is the real-time personalization, which is the gold standard. Here in AI, real-time data deliver dynamic context awareness experiences. And you can think of like Starbucks offering location specific discount or Amazon predicting what the next purchase you are likely to do even before you actually do it. So advancing along this curve not just only increases your customer segmentation, it transforms businesses. And as Sushil showed us in the previous slide, companies that excel up in these personalization sees up to 40% revenue boost. Now, when we are talking about hyper-personalization, its core principles we must understand. And what we have done is we have segregated into three segments. The first one is predicting consumer needs. When I say predicting consumer needs, it's all about the foresight by leveraging data which is siloed among the different disconnected systems, GenAI, context awareness. We can anticipate what user might need even before they know it. So you can think of you're opening up any streaming device and it gives you a perfect movie that you would have based upon your mood of the day or maybe at the time of the day. That's not just personalization, that is hyper personalization. Next, we have the concept of segment of one. So gone are those days wherein we do a digital marketing ads targeting multiple customers at a time. It's the time wherein we target as an individual. So imagine receiving an email or app notification as if it feels just like crafted for you. You can take an example of Zomato, sending us personalized messages, and I won't say personalized, it's hyper personalized messages based on the time of the day, what you like to eat. They have identified the patterns and they send the hyper personalized messages accordingly. The third one is the real time engagement. It means we bring predictions and personalization actually to life. So whether it's personalized product recommendations on an e-commerce website, chatbot, resolving issue at the instant time, is ensuring that users are being valued and they become loyal to us. So businesses can create hyper-personalized ecosystem that doesn't mean expectations, it actually exceeds them. Now let's dive into how hyper-personalization powered by AI is transforming customer engagement across the different stages of their journey. The first one is the custom advertisement. So there are various tools available in the market like ChatGPT, Jasper, and their various handle distributions like Google Ads. Whatever the advertisements now are being done, it speaks directly to the customer preferences. Think of dynamic ad copy of visuals followed by individual interest, where GenAI can play an important role. The second one is of unique landing pages. Imagine you are having a birthday, you log into a banking app and it's wishing you happy birthday, or maybe the landing pages are customized according to your needs. So that's where the personalized landing pages come into the picture, and gone are the days when one size fits all websites. The third one is the recommendation engine. Recommendation engine, I would say, have been into the existence since long. Initially, it started with content filtering, collaborative filtering, hyper filtering, but now with the power of GenAI, analyzing browsing, purchasing behavior, suggesting products which they don't even realize they can buy. So Amazon and many other market leaders are playing a key role in recommending them. The next one is dynamic pricing and the offers. So imagine offering customers discount at a perfect moment to nudge them towards a purchase. So AI actually can predict what to offer, when to offer, and for whom to offer. Next one is the service chatbots. Chatbots are no longer generic. They are now AI driven, offering instant tailored assistance. So whether it's resolving queries or predicting recommendations, these bots are learning from every interaction to improve the service. Extending the functionality of the chatbots comes the omni-channel, wherein we are not only relying on the chat itself, we make utilization of email or maybe offline interactions as well to make the connections seamless. The second last part of most importance is these real-time notifications. Customer definitely loves timely updates. Whether it's about the flash sale or maybe a delayed shipment, AI or with the help of GenAI can curate the notifications and not only that make it relevant but also engaging. Last one is the loyalty programs. So you can think about going beyond the reward point system to dynamically offer rewards and incentives that meet customers' behaviors and preferences. So hyper personalization in a nutshell is no longer a luxury. It's the expectation. With AI, businesses can not only meet these but exceed these expectations. Now, let's think about how hyper personalization actually works. So the various steps involved in it. The first one starts with the data collection part. When I talk about the data collection, data has been into existence since long. We collect the diverse data set. It could be of behavior, preferences, contextual, transactional, but the important part is it should be of high quality and diverse. So historical data gives us a starting point to understand the user patterns. Next comes up is the data analysis, wherein we leverage tools of AI, machine learning, natural language processing, do some kind of data enrichment, customer profiling to uncover more trends and patterns in deep. Now, the next part of this whole framework is the heart of the system, which is the GenAI prediction, wherein hyper-personalization truly comes in real time. GenAI platforms enables us to move from basic recommendations. They analyze vast amount of data, instantly delivered interactions, whether it's creating personalized content, offering relevant products. GenAI is the one-stop solution. Any framework would be of no use if there is no feedback or a continuous loop through which we can measure the user engagement, monitor choices, and even track matrices like happiness index. So these insights through feedback loops helps us to refine and enhance our hyper-personalized experience over the time. Last one is the communication, which is dynamic and personalized at scale. Whether it's sending the real-time updates, targeted offers, custom campaigns or loyalty incentives, it is designed to resonate deeply with the user's preferences and behavior. So this integrated hyper-personalized systems ensure that we are not just responding to users, but are also anticipating their needs. Now, what are some key considerations while implementing these hyper-personalization? And in short, what's the roadmap for success? The first one is the current state. We need to understand whatever is our historical data, assess that historical data, understand what are the different customer segments we are going to target, analyze the business solution. So this gives us a founding stone. If this is not correct, then probably next each step which we will follow might fail. The next shift focuses on the future targets. Herein we align the organization goals, define our target customer segmentations, and also set up a clear timelines. This ensures that our strategy is basically goal driven and it's time bound. The third step is right data collection, which is arguably the backbone of the success. As mentioned, data is siloed and kept in different distributed systems, but to curate them correctly, to have them in place, understanding the whatever the analysis that we do is correct, it is the key performance indicators. The next set is of the right technology. With the many tools available in the markets, we need to understand how can we do it right, how can we do it fastly and with the minimum cost. So herein the right technology comes into place. There are different GenAI platforms that could be used for solving a single solution, but it's the organization objective that needs to be identified how beautifully you need to craft a solution. The last one is measuring the business impact, which is of the most importance. Whether you have improved the customer experience, whether your retention rate has increased or not, whether your conversions have become quicker or not, and you are earning return on investment. These are the tangible results you can measure through this business impact. So this roadmap ensures we stay strategic, efficient, focused on real impactful results. Now we'll focus on industry-specific use cases. We have identified 10 to 11 industries, and you can have a look. Maybe the next one is yours. So first one, talking about the banking and finance. Imagine you wake up in the morning and when you browse through your banking application, you find that instead of basic or generic recommendations, you are being provided with some financial plan to help you save for a vacation. Isn't it amazing? Or you can identify a fraudulent, maybe a potential fraudulent transaction before it actually happens. So that's the use of hyper-personalization and GenAI that can even alert you before it happens. Now let's shift gears to the healthcare part. Imagine any person recovering from surgery. He has been given a smartphone by his doctor to monitor his vitals and probably generating his treatment plan based upon his working hours, or maybe what time he has his lunch, dinner, everything. So it helps in two ways. It helps the person to recover faster, as well as it helps the doctors to change or adjust the treatment plan as it is. Next one is the technology one. So we have been talking about e-commerce a lot. Suppose you're browsing online, the platform not only predicts what you want to buy, but also suggests the complementary products you didn't know you needed. So all maintaining your customized user interfaces that is made for you. All this could be made use with the help of technology. The next one is of the automotive industry. Now think about, I have just taken up that financial plan I talked about in the banking and finance, and I'm going on a vacation on my electric car. Suddenly, in my in-car infotainment system, suggests me my favorite podcast to keep me engaged, and it also notifies me my car's battery level are going down. There is an EV station ahead, so I can just get my car recharged. That all hyper-personalization can be done. Next comes up is of the business services. This hyper-personalization herein means you can actually automate the workflow by adapting how your team members performs, boosting their efficiency. This can help in workforce management, maybe analyzing your bench strength and targeting your employees to achieve to their maximum efficiency. Now talking about the consumer industry, here in the hyper-personalization becomes more exciting. Picture yourself as your favorite e-commerce platform offering you personalized bundle of products you frequently buy, sending you real-time notifications when your products are back in stock, and after you purchase the product, they ask you for the feedbacks. We have been seeing this in action already through Amazon. So that's where the hyper-personalization is already in place. Next comes up is the education part. So you might need to understand there are different students who might not be of the same level. So consider we are having a virtual classroom wherein each student receives a curriculum tailored to their performance and their learning speeds. A struggling student is provided with custom test preparation. Teachers are receiving the real-time analytics. So this is how hyper-personalization could be of use in the education industry. When we talk about the environment, you can think about getting your personalized energy saving tips, getting notified by local environmental hazards like poor air quality, or maybe recommendation of the eco-friendly products. Talking about entertainment industry, we have already talked about getting your playlist curated just for your mood, just for the time of the day, at correct place, TV show recommendations based on your viewing history. So that all falls under the entertainment industry. When I talk about the travel, so we have been seeing GenAI powered assistants that curate the itinerary based on your preferences, maybe suggesting the best activities that you would like to do in your notifications, or suggesting your restaurants, maybe based upon your cuisine behavior, or maybe finding the hidden gem that you didn't even know that existing. Or maybe it's like dynamic pricing that ensures you get the best deals for your vacations. Lastly, it's the government part. Imagine you are filing your taxes with a platform that personalizes the experience, guiding you through the process based on your financial profile, making it quick and painless. You can think of localized emergency alert in case of different weather events, helping you stay prepared. So these examples were a lot of examples from different industry. Now, I'd like to take a moment to ask you all the use cases which we presented. Do you find it relevant, or you have any other use cases in your mind that could be maybe probably good for your other industries? We have hyper-personalization is not only limited to these industries. It can flow to all other different levels, different domains. It's how we can actually make use of GenAI and make our customers feel valued and seen. So we see a pretty good amount, 84%, let's say we have seen relevance in these use cases. That's pretty good to hear. Some of you even needs consultation, and we'll surely help you to embark your journey. And a small amount also says that there is no relevance on the potential use cases in your organization, so need not to worry. There are different other areas of GenAI wherein it might be useful for you. Okay. Okay, so let's move ahead and identify some of the focus area and the challenges when it comes to play when we are talking about hyper personalization through GenAI. So the worst one is the data privacy and the compliance. And with you all coming from different industries, you might know that there are different regulations like GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, whose ensuring insurance is non-negotiable. Customers today are very demanding in terms of privacy of their data. They want to understand how their data is being used, whether it's not getting leaked, and it's not just a requirement, it's the foundation for the user loyalty. The next one comes up is the integration with the legacy system. Many organizations we find that struggle to integrate modern hyper-personalization platforms with their older or the non-modernized systems, and wherein you need to understand, you need to migrate, because without it, achieving seamless user experience becomes almost nearly impossible. The third one is about the scalability, which is another key challenge, because when talking about GenAI, it has a latency factor which we need to maintain, real-time responses, getting real-time, which is a tricky part. So ability to handle high traffic without compromising performance is one of the critical aspects. Data silos, which I already mentioned, data from multiple sources almost remain fragmented. Crafting challenges, harmonize, for instances like customer data from websites, app curation, it remains a challenge for the organizations. Lastly, it's the AI bias and the ethical concern. It is very important because all this hyper-personalization through GenAI occurs through different algorithms, and there could be some kind of biases that is leading to give you some irrelevant recommendation. So suppose you have spent thousands of dollars building a product, and you see that after a while it is not giving the correct recommendations, and it's not just the ethical issue, it impacts the user's trust as well. So we need to take these factors into the consideration as well. Now let's move on to the future directions in the hyper personalization. Now these emerging trends are paving the way to more advanced, seamless and ethical business personalized experiences. So the first one when I say about is the data transparency and the trust. So as the data privacy concerns grow, user demand more control, and through explainable AI, this is quite possible. Also with the introduction of blockchain, we can ensure the data integrity part. The next one is the emerging trend in AI, which is evolving at a rapid pace. Models are getting launched at every day, and we need to, even before digesting it, we need to understand what these products have to offer to us. So there are various advanced chatbot, voice assistants, multimodal systems, combining text, different things that we have. The next one is the proactive personalization. So you can imagine a system that predicts what consumer needs before it actually does it, which we have already talked about. So it's all about this part. Next one is the AI driven customer journey mapping. So I would say AI is revolutionizing and the ability to unify data across the multiple touch points, enabling truly end-to-end personalized experiences, whether it's across the faster localized personalization. So all this is taken into consideration. Lastly is the hybrid cloud and edge AI solutions, which is another game changer. These solutions offer the scalability part because cloud has enormous capabilities. It can increase the speeds, enable us faster, and the organization. So for the I would say organization, it's like you need to means fight tough competitions, respect the data, ensure you are making up on the data integrity part, so that you can build up the good hyper personalization app using GenAI.
Thank you so much, Ankit, for giving complete perspective how organizations should embark on the hyper-personalization, leverage GenAI, and so on. This is the last part. What we have is a demo. We have several demonstrations available with us, and as I said, we have been working with many of the clients in different industry verticals in solving their business problems, in coming up with use case, having those POCs and demonstrable solutions with us. What we have done for today's session is we just unpicked one of the use case which pertains to media and entertainment industry, and it has a good reflection of how the hyper-personalization can help in a real life practical scenario. So what we would do as part of this particular demonstration is to give you a perspective on once the client logs in onto a particular portal, how it navigates and what all roles GenAI plays in that particular entire journey. So let me request my colleague Sanmati to walk us through the demonstration, please.
Thank you, Sushil. So here I want to walk you through with one of the scenarios which I would be demonstrating in the upcoming slides. So let's say if a user is accessing any media and entertainment platform, at this time we are not having any information about this user, and we showcase the most popular and trending contents along with some commercial contents. As user proceeds for the registration part, we capture the basic information along with user preferences. Once we are having the user data, that's where the GenAI starts working and the hyper-personalization systems works. Post that, as soon as the user starts exploring the data, we capture more and more relevant data, that behavioral content, that the time it's spending over the platform, the type of content it's watching, and the other activities. Even we do capture the feedback of that particular user, and that's where the user journey ends. But in the end, I will be demonstrating some insights generated by the GenAI powered systems. So let's assume it's a new user where we are not having any information about user, and user is now seeing the most popular contents. And from here, user starts its journey and registering himself. We are capturing the basic information about the user, some email addresses, names, age, etc. Along with the user preferences, those are the language and genre. And from here, as soon as the user logs in first time, user starts getting the personalized recommendations. These are language-based recommendations and genre-based recommendations. Here, if user thinks that user activity starts, it's watching one content. Let's say as soon as it clicks on the watch content, in the background, the system is capturing the user behavior. That's the time it's spent over the platform, the type of content it's watching, as well as its interest. But at the same time, if user decides that I don't want to see a certain kind of content, then there the user is providing us the feedback that I'm not liking this part. At the same time, on the real time, the hyper-personalization system takes care of that part, and we can see that that kind of content has been disappeared, and that's where user journey ends. So here we can see the kinds of insights the GenAI brings as compared to the traditional recommendation systems. Here we can see for the organization, it has it's highlighting the user demographics, user implicit distinct preferences, at what time the user is watching, as well as the user persona. And we can see at the end, GenAI is also commenting about the user's liking and disliking part, where the user mentioned that it's not interested in blockbuster movies. And with these insights, the organization can plan its marketing strategies. At the same time, we can also see the user persona, user board, where if a user is accessing the platform in the morning, then these hyper-personalized systems are suggesting the comic or inspirational content to this user. If user is accessing the system at night, then he would be recommended thriller or horror kind of contents. This way, the hyper-personalization systems are adding a value to the systems, and it's crafting unique and engaging experience for every user.
Thank you so much, Sanmati. Thanks for that brief and This is one of the very powerful use case that we have, and in the interest of time we have shown the journey, but happy to have a detailed demonstration also, those who are interested on this. The important thing is, as you can imagine, the personalization and hyper-personalization, which I spoke in the beginning. Personalization has been in existence for a pretty long time, but predominantly it has been based on segmentation and may not be catering to the individual needs. And if you look at similar kind of example, if I go back 2-3 years ago, there were certain recommendations that always used to come as well. But what really differs and the power of GenAI that comes into the picture is capturing each and every actions, just looking at the behavior of that particular individual. If I'm watching a particular movie, am I pausing or am I switching something between the different kind of two videos? What kind of movies I like and so on, and taking those behavioral actions and having that personalized curated content shown at a particular time, that's where GenAI comes into the picture. We'll move to the question and answer session, and I already see a couple of questions that has come the host and analyst. So I think we'll get started with that, and meanwhile if any of the participant also has any questions, feel free to ask those questions. And first question that has come is, how can hyper-personalization handle data privacy concerns, and especially in the regions with strict regulations like GDPR and so on? So Ankit, probably if you want to just give your point of view on this.
Sure, Sushil. So hyper-personalization, I would say, can handle data privacy concerns even with the region that have strict regulations like GDPR, and there are key approaches when we talk about this. So first one could be we can implement the in-design privacy systems and the processes. So when I say this thing, you can take an example like there's an app which allows users itself to configure what preferences they want to be shown or what type of transactions they want the systems can use for making them personalized offer. So this ensures that no sensitive data is actually going at unless and until it is explicitly permitted by the user. We can have different regular audits. So different marketing agencies are there that conducts the quarterly audits or monthly audits as well, wherein they check whatever the user data that has been collected, whether it's anonymized or not, wherever it is required. So they also check about the third-party integrations that are in place to confirm whether it is compliance with GDPR or not. Getting the consent from the user itself for the data collection and the usage. So we see when we download any app, it asks us about whether we want to provide access to the camera, contacts, or other things. So that is one part which we can do. The other part is we can have techniques like data anonymization and differential privacy. Suppose we are recommending the products. The system not only focuses on individual data, there's some kind of noise that is being introduced, but needless to mention, it doesn't decrease the accuracy of the recommendations that we are providing. I would say one last point which I have seen is like using the data storage in the regions with strict compliance requirements. So we have seen many of the times like Middle East clients want the data to at their own location or maybe in their own region. So we can have those services or frameworks wherein the data remains in their own region. We can have those storage part as well.
Thank you so much, Ankit. So there is another question which is asked by Manu MS. Please share some use case study and success stories of NBFC and BFSI sectors. I would be happy to share it across Manu offline and we can walk you through as well. We'll do that. There is another question by Kavita Sanka, which is how can customer analytics be done effectively if we have hyper-personalization without segmentation? Kavita, just to get things right again into perspectives, the moment I say hyper-personalizations, I'm really not looking at segmentations based on broader capabilities. Here, when I say hyper-personalization, it's about the segment of one. We are talking about that individual specific and not the group of people. So that's how this particular analytics, the hyper-personalization is really not segmented across multiple users, but focused around a particular individual itself. Another question that has come up, which is related to what are that? I mean, evolving advancement, and it is how do you envision the future of hyper-personalization evolving with advancement of AI, such as multimodal systems or GPT models? So, what's the impact of that when it comes to the hyper-personalization?
Okay, Sushil, so I'll take that up because multimodal systems and GPT models actually promises to revolutionize the interaction with the technology. And before answering that question, I would explain that what is multimodal. So instead of only text, we are talking about the combination of text, videos, images, other things when we talk about multimodal systems. So leveraging multimodal for it can offer us the richer insights, I would say. So if I take an example, like, but if I have been on a fashion e-commerce app and I'm trying to analyze a user's social media photograph, so I can recommend the outfits based on their matching styles, preferences, alongside with the product descriptions and the user reviews for a comprehensive experience. So offering rich insights is one of the things. When I talk about real-time personalization, it's becoming more faster and more accurate, that we are already seeing. Streaming devices are already into it. The third one is how the integrations are being happening. So we used to have in our previous days the chatbots that were textual based. Now we have AR and VR integration. So we have different websites like HeyGen and other things wherein I can clone myself, giving my image, and if you interact with me, you feel like as if I am speaking in real world. So that's where augmented reality and virtual shopping can also play a role, wherein we can have shopping experiences only driven through their channel. Next could be I would say faster recommendations, localizations, edge, or using the edge AIs. And when we talk about the GPT models, it's like providing the human type interaction for the enhanced engagement. So with the advancement of these technologies, definitely hyper-personalization is moving. We'll see a maturity curve to move ahead in terms of the revenue.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that one. There are a few other questions as well. The question is about the infrastructure. Major challenges faced is the implementation of AI, which expects huge infrastructure. So there is a question asked by Pradeep Kumar. And how to overcome the infrastructure challenge as clients are not ready for such a huge investment upfront.
That's the case that we see on real day-to-day basis. Clients are actually a little hesitant on moving on to GenAI because of the infrastructure costs that are there. But what we have is we have different, I'll take it in this different formats. The first one, I would say, we can leverage the cloud solutions. We have options like pay-as-go pricing for the GenAI training, inferencing, and the data storages. We have different tier systems as well, utilizing free tiers or the credits provided by the cloud providers to demonstrate maybe the proof of concept, so that clients gets the confidence that yes, this is something which is worth trying. Next part is auto scaling. Could be one of the things wherein DevOps engineering comes into the project. Running a pilot project, you can run a pilot project to maybe not directly deep diving into the complete product, rather than trying it on a sample data or maybe a single use case, check out its ROI in little span of time, whether it's worth trying or not. Instead of using the heavy models, you can try pre-trained models. Do not go for fine tuning when we talk about GenAI if it is not recommended. And I would say don't, it's a kind like the use case could be solved by already using some of the open source tools which maybe Hugging Face or other providers provide, and it's not necessary that you need to have a very large infrastructure model, but that depends upon the use case to use case. So there are different approaches that we can take in this particular scenario.
Thank you so much, Ankit. We'll just take a few more because there are so many questions coming up and I don't want to discourage those questions. We might extend by another 10 minutes so that we are able to cover as many questions as possible. Before I do that one, I just want to take a moment here, just in the interest, if somebody is not able to ask questions and they have to get on to other meetings, these are the details. They can reach out and we will definitely try to have a very detailed discussions on those particular topics. There is another question that has come from Ravi Gupta, which is, do you see or did you experience any use case in IoT? So Ravi, there are several use cases that can be done in IoT space as well. I mean, if you look at manufacturing unit, just for an example, wherein you want to give a different kind of message, different kind of access, different kind of data to that particular users based on what part of manufacturing plant they are into, right? Giving that contextualized data, what matters to them, giving them real-time information and so on. That's one classic example when I look at IoT in manufacturing industry. If you talk about services industry, you have various business functions. You would have some business functions which are on the move, on the road. There are a few business functions which are focusing around the back office and so on. So at a different level, or there are few who focusing on the operations and maintenance part. How do you curate that kind of data and give personalized information? What really matters to that business function is what really IoT can do. But it's pretty good question. Thanks for asking that question. There is another question that is asked by Shailbhadra Shah, which is, what is the kind of cost should one factor for implementing such a service with respect to hyper-personalization? So there are two parts, Shailbhadra, which I can say. The first one is about identifying the approach usually we undertake in such kind of initiative. Whenever organizations try to embark, it is important that we understand the current ecosystem in terms of the current data, what kind of the maturity that exists. And also the important fact is you might have a different services which you may provide as part of organization, but hyper-personalization doesn't need to be force-fitted in all those particular solutions. So we need to look at what works well. And once we understand that particular use case, we really look at what is the different models that works well to meet the hyper-personalization requirement. Because if you look at all leading players, be it AWS, Azure or OpenAI, Google, all of them have a good recommendation engine. Each one of them has a variant of how much accuracy that you get. So the approach, typically what is suggested, Shailbhadra, in this is we have a small POC that is done usually around say 4 weeks, wherein based on the use case, we keep on looking at what is the right product that needs to be considered. And based on the volume and based on the kind of use case, definitely one of the things that we help the client in that journey to provide the holistic CapEx and the OpEx cost that may come into the picture. I know this question becomes very important, especially you want to budget while you are excited to do. You need to understand when is the right time, considering the budget situation as well, right? We'll be glad to again meet up. We have seen that there are many organizations who are not yet on journey and they are looking for some kind of advice. We are there to assist and help you as you move forward, right? Thank you so much once again. Thanks everyone for your time. Really appreciate it. It's a pleasure you having here with us. I hope you found this session pretty interactive and useful in nature. Thanks again and have a very good evening. See ya. Bye-bye.